I'm here standing at the eastern edge of Forest Park, which is a great vantage point for seeing the WashU Medical Center. Over the years, people have used this vantage point for taking a lot of photographs of the medical center. As you can see behind me, they're beginning demolition of Queeny Tower. Before Queeny Tower and the rest of the medical center was built, the area had been farmland that was becoming more residential, with homes being built along this corner of Kings Highway. When Barnes Hospital was completed in 1914, although its charter did not turn away patients by race or creed, it was segregated, with African American patients placed in a separate ward. Wards were also divided by the medical service. There was a ward for internal medicine's patients. There was a ward for surgical patients. There was also another wing of the building called the Private Pavilion, which was set aside for patients with private insurance who could afford to pay for their own rooms. In 1960, when Edgar Queeny became president of Barnes Hospital, he decided that he would renovate the Private Pavilion and develop it into a larger building that provided more amenities for patients who wanted to pay for a more luxurious stay at the hospital. And so the result was Queeny Tower. Queeny Tower is one of the most prominent buildings that part of the Barnes Jewish Hospital complex. But I also think in its history, it's also one of the most important buildings in the history of Washington University. The construction of Queeny Tower caused some controversy at the medical center. Since it was a pavilion mostly for paying patients, the revenue sharing between the hospital and the medical school became highly contested. Negotiations between Edgar Queeny and Ed Dempsey, who was the dean of the medical school, became so acrimonious that the two of them couldn't even be in the same room together. To smooth out this controversy, they created the position of Vice Chancellor for Medical Affairs at Washington University, who would also be the president of the medical center. Eventually, they found the perfect candidate, a young faculty member at the School of Medicine named William Danforth. He proved so effective in this position that when the university was looking for a chancellor, he was the obvious choice to become the 13th chancellor of the university. During his time as chancellor, Danforth would lead the transformation of Washington University into a national research institution. That's why I believe that if Queeny Tower had never been built, Washington University would not be the institution that it is today.